What happens when you pit the most ruthless competitor basketball has ever seen against the player rewriting what's possible in the modern game? Michael Jordan and Caitlin Clark exist in different eras, different leagues, and different conversations, but when you strip away the noise and examine the raw psychology that drives champions, you discover something shocking. Their mindsets aren't just similar, they're two expressions of the same relentless obsession with greatness. But here's where it gets interesting. While Jordan's mentality became the blueprint that defined an entire generation, Clark is evolving that blueprint for a new age, adding dimensions Jordan never had to consider. This isn't about who's better. This is about understanding how two of basketball's most transformative figures think, compete, and conquer, and what those differences reveal about the evolution of championship mentality itself. Let's start with the foundation, the killer instinct. Michael Jordan's competitive fire is legendary to the point of mythology. He famously created slights out of thin air just to fuel his rage. Someone didn't shake his hand enthusiastically enough, that became bulletin board material. A player talked trash in a regular season game? Jordan would remember it in the playoffs and destroy them personally. He made crying memes before memes existed, turning opponents into cautionary tales about what happens when you dare to compete against the greatest. His teammates feared his wrath more than opposing defenses. Stories of Jordan punching Steve Kerr in practice, screaming at teammates for perceived softness, and refusing to pass to players he deemed unworthy are well documented. This wasn't toxicity for its own sake. It was Jordan's calculated method for forging champions through fire. He believed comfort was the enemy of excellence, and he made damn sure nobody around him ever got comfortable. Caitlin Clark possesses that same competitive fury, but it manifests differently. She doesn't rule through fear or intimidation. Instead, she leads through relentless demonstration. When defenders trash talk her, she doesn't wait for revenge in the fourth quarter. She pulls up from 30 feet on the next possession and stares them down as the net ripples. Her competitive edge is expressed through impossible shots, through threading passes that shouldn't exist, through playing 40 minutes at maximum intensity while lesser players gasped for air. Clark's killer instinct is passive-aggressive in the best possible way. She lets her game do the destruction, and it's arguably more demoralizing than Jordan's verbal warfare. You can hate Jordan back. You can use his trash talk as fuel. But what do you do when someone is just effortlessly better than you, smiling while they dismantle your entire defensive scheme? The grudge-keeping mechanism is where we see fascinating parallels. Jordan famously kept a mental file of every slight, real or imagined. He'd bring up things from years ago, using them as motivation in completely unrelated situations. His Hall of Fame speech was essentially a public airing of grievances, proving that even at the pinnacle of recognition, he was still driven by proving people wrong. Caitlin Clark operates similarly, but with a modern twist. She remembers every doubter, every analyst who said she couldn't translate to the next level, every social media troll who questioned her abilities. But instead of weaponizing it through confrontation, she channels it into performance. When she breaks records, when she makes the impossible routine, she's not just winning games, she's answering critics in real time. The difference is generational. Jordan needed you to know he remembered your doubt. Clark just needs you to witness her excellence and realize you were wrong. Work ethic is where both are absolutely identical. Jordan's training regimen was obsessive. First one in the gym, last one out. He'd practice until his shots were falling in his sleep. He studied film like a doctoral student, memorizing opponent tendencies, learning their tells, understanding their weaknesses better than they knew themselves. He trained in the offseason while others rested, constantly adding weapons to his arsenal. That iconic fadeaway jumper wasn't natural talent, it was the result of thousands of hours of repetition until it became unguardable. Caitlin Clark has that exact same obsession. Her range didn't develop by accident. She's been taking 1,000 shots a day from logo distance since middle school. Her court vision comes from studying the game's greatest passers, from Magic to Nash, absorbing their techniques and adding her own innovations. She watches film constantly, understanding defensive schemes, recognizing patterns, knowing where help will come from before the defenders know themselves. Both Jordan and Clark understand that talent is the entry fee, but obsessive preparation is what separates champions from cautionary tales. Clutch mentality reveals the purest expression of championship mindset. Jordan wanted the ball when the game was on the line. He demanded it. His confidence in those moments bordered on supernatural. He genuinely believed he was going to make every big shot, and that belief became self-fulfilling prophecy. The shrug game, the shot over Russell, the flu game, Jordan in clutch moments was inevitable. Caitlin Clark has that identical certainty. Watch her face in tight games and you see zero doubt. She's taking the shot, making the play, delivering the moment, because she's already visualized it, already made it in practice, already knows the outcome. The difference is context. Jordon had the benefit of being anointed early, of playing in an era where confidence was expected and celebrated. Clark has had to prove her clutch credentials against skeptics who question whether women's basketball could produce that kind of pressure performance. She's not just making big shots, she's validating an entire sport's competitive credibility with every logo 3 in crunch time. Leadership styles show the generational evolution most clearly. Jordon led through dominance and demand. He set impossible standards and expected everyone to meet them. If you couldn't handle his intensity, you didn't belong on his team. It was authoritarian, uncompromising, and undeniably effective. 6 championships don't lie, but it also left casualties, players whose confidence was shattered, teammates who resented his methods even as they hoisted trophies. Caitlin Clark leads through inspiration and elevation. She makes her teammates better not by berating them, but by creating opportunities they never knew existed. Her passes turn role players into stars. Her gravity opens up the entire floor for others to succeed. She demands excellence through example, playing so hard that you'd be embarrassed not to match her effort. This isn't soft leadership, it's evolved leadership. She understands that modern athletes respond to empowerment differently than Jordon's generation. But the core demand for excellence remains unchanged. The pressure handling mechanisms are instructive. Jordon thrived on pressure by externalizing it. He found enemies everywhere, creating us versus them scenarios that made every game personal. The pressure wasn't weight, it was fuel. He transformed anxiety into anger and anger into athletic destruction. Caitlin Clark internalizes pressure differently. She embraces it as opportunity. The bigger the stage, the brighter she shines. Not because she's angry, but because she's prepared. She's done the work, visualized the moments, and when they arrive, they feel familiar rather than frightening. This reflects modern sports psychology's understanding of performance optimization. Jordon's method worked for him, but Clark's approach is more sustainable. Less dependent on manufactured rage, more about channeling preparation into execution. Mental resilience is where both are absolutely elite. Jordon faced criticism about his inability to beat the Pistons, about being a scorer who couldn't win championships, about his baseball detour being a failed escape. Every criticism made him more determined. He came back from retirement twice, proving he could still dominate. Caitlin Clark has faced skepticism at every level. Too small, too slow, women's basketball doesn't matter, she won't translate, the WNBA is too physical. Every doubt has been systematically destroyed through performance. She's developed the same mental armor Jordon had, the ability to let criticism bounce off while extracting any useful truth. Using the rest as motivation. Here's the ultimate truth. Jordon's mindset was perfect for his era, when basketball rewarded individual dominance, when intimidation was accepted, when the singular superstar could carry everything. Caitlin Clark's mindset is perfect for now, when basketball is more sophisticated, when leadership requires different tools, when excellence must be sustained across media scrutiny that Jordon never faced. Both possess that rare combination of supreme confidence, obsessive preparation, clutch performance, and competitive fury that defines champions. The difference isn't better or worse, it's evolution. Clark studied the blueprint Jordon created, kept what worked, adapted what needed updating, and added innovations Jordon never considered. That's not disrespect, that's progress. Both mindsets share the same core truth. Greatness demands everything, and champions pay that price gladly.